All right, what's your question?
So, we have God within us, and we. I guess why is it so hard for people for anybody to sort of adopt that knowledge and apply that knowledge? It's like whether you look at it as like blasphemy, whether you look at it as, I'm not worthy to have that. I mean, there's just so many different things. I mean, because, even from your statement, it's like it's my birthday every day. So you create your birthday. It's like we have the power to create anything.
Hmm.
And it's like you're like, nah. It's like, God, even when when you internalize them, it's like there's always like, there seems to be that separation or that big fear of like truly embracing that we're one.
Well, with great power,
I'm
Jedi,
like, well played,
comes
Superman.
great responsibility.
I like to quote.
Yeah, uh, I think. Uh, why is it so hard to grasp that? All of our training is in a different direction. I think it's possible in other parts of the world or other cultures. Maybe it's embraced a lot more easily
Mm-hmm.
based on the collective agreements about stuff. But I think I personally think that religious teaching really discourages people of seeing the God within. The religious multiple religious organizations I've uh, traveled through, it's either something that is coming from without to within, or it's coming, um, you know, you get your spirit, the spirit, Holy Spirit activated or infused with the Holy Spirit, like as if it was ever, like it was separate, And so it gives us this whole teaching and concept that God is separate from us. And we've created um, judgments and rules and all kinds of barbed wire that we have to crawl under and over if we want to get there. And all of that is there because of us, created by us. Any religion that's about killing everybody and eternal damnation isn't of God.
Right.
That's a concept that humans created. So, in which is the story there. We have to get past our need to step on other people to feel like we're getting somewhere, building ourselves up through the destruction of others. And people are like, ooh, I don't do that. Well, sure, judgment, all judgment is um, all judgment steps on somebody else. All judgment isn't of our divine being, our high self. There's no judgment in there. Because if you think about it, we all want to be seen for who we are, right? And we expect that God sees us as who we are and accepts it, hands down, understands that we're on a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna stumble along sometimes, right? But we don't give that to other people. We don't give that to other people. And whatever we give to somebody else, we own for ourselves, right? So, you know, we do have to get past the whole blaspheme, right?
Right.
But
That's
if
all.
we're, but then it gets back to, I mean, I was immersed in that for a while, for sure, and that was a big, the head that kept poking itself up, and when I would say, "Well, I am God," and I'd be like, you know, but then understanding that all things are divine fabric, all things are the divine. Therefore, you know, I am a piece of divine. We all are, and so's the tree, right?
Yeah.
Right? Everything, everything. So if that's the case, and we are divine and made out of divine fabric, why would we not be God? Why would we not be God? Like that's the biggest lie, that God is separate and beyond. God is bigger. We're a piece, right? A drop, right? But um, but we are definitely the I am, and we definitely create our life moment by moment. And it's up to us to challenge and own our beliefs, whatever they are.
I was thinking, I guess like the last week I've been thinking a lot about, like, I always hear like your words. And so it's like I was thinking about, obviously, with the media and so forth like that, and like, okay, you're not gonna be with your families, and the economy and all this kind of stuff. It's like, I just kept thinking, I'm like, we're really looking at things from a place of lack. Like, we're not gonna have this, we're not gonna have this. But I'm like, and just like thinking about our numerous conversations about it, it's like, well, there's only really two, thoughts, that of fear and that of love, and you can't have both. And it's like, if God is all love, it's like, and I specifically thought of you and like how you handled like the transformation from the onset of this whole thing, and just being like an opportunity for growth, and and like firsthand watching you like elevate to a place that is something that I couldn't see you in a corner nook off of Main Street, like not that maybe it could have, but I didn't see it, what I mean, and not that like my eyes are any witness to anything, but it's remarkable. I think that's kind of like what led into it, because like we're being driven by this whole mantra of lack. You're missing, you're missing, you're missing. And instead of like, and then it wraps into what we're kind of just talking about. It's like, but if we are literally, entwined with the essence of pure love, how could we be lacking anything?
We're not. That's the concept. We have to challenge our concept, and we have to run our concepts through the divine filter, and not run the divine through the earthly filter. Like we hear we're divine love, and we're creators, and we have power, and we want to validate that through what we're experiencing, instead of saying, wow, somebody just turned the light on. This is an event in time. That is all. It's an event in time. Moments like this have been happening on the face of the earth forever. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for everybody. And if a person, there's been so much training out there, so much exposure to teaching, to stories, to commercials that train that the body is weak, and the body is frail, and the body's falling apart, and you need these drugs to uphold and sustain the body, because you got indigestional problems, and you've got bladder problems, and you've got sexual problems, and you've got arthritis, and you've got whatever it is that they need to sell the drug for. I mean, some people have these conditions, but there are, when we know who we are, we can move in a direction of wholeness, and understanding, and allowing the body to begin to heal itself, not turning into a cesspool of trying to run away from symptoms as somebody tells you you're having, and that your body's failing you, so you have to take this drug to support it. Like, when you hear it that way, it doesn't make any sense. But if you watch anything that has a commercial, most of the commercials are drugs. And the way that they're set up, with the sweet music and the pretty pictures and the deaf words, is exactly like that, to penetrate the subconscious, so that you think you need it and you have to have it. It's advertising. It's not a conspiracy. It's advertising. They do the same thing with fast food, right? I mean, people I have friends who didn't give their kids McDonald's, right? But the kid is screaming for it. Why is that? They don't even know what it is they want. They haven't had it yet.
Yeah.
Right? Dinner bell.
Well, I was gonna say, dinner bell. It's like the herding bell. Bring
Yeah.
them all. Do you think we're going to get to that place as a like as a community to almost just take that extra second and think like, where is this decision coming from? Is this coming from love or is this coming from fear?
That's an individual journey. Are you going to get there? Do you want to live without fear?
Personally,
Uh, yes, that was
yeah,
a personal question. Do you want to live
yeah,
without fear?
yeah. No, I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, honestly, since I started thinking about that, like literally, that sped up a couple thoughts. Is that just like now? I kind of like it's been about I don't know, probably like 3 days that just like anything like I think like oh, huh, hmm. Or even I was even looking around my room like when did I get that? And I was looking at the posters. I'm like, did I get that because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget something? And I'm like, well, if that's the case. That's fear. Right? I mean, like, oh, I really love that. So, I got that, kind of thing. And just, I don't know. I just been really looking at each thought, I guess, like, where is it coming from? So I guess I was just wondering, because I know that we've talked about even in class about the idea about like, the different villages that would set aside time and meditate and literally transform their villages.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you think that, because like to your point, like mentioning stuff about like commercials, we're inundated with that information. Like you lack this. Like, do you believe that we'll like revert that, like change that up? I mean, like you're not lacking.
I, as you evolve yourself, um, the light is brighter and brighter, and the world is changed by the nature of your being, by your expression in the energy realm and the light that you bring will change the world. And so, yes, uh, I do believe that. But I have to believe it and have it within my own life. It has to be achieved individually, and then people are attracted to that energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all energy. A person can set about to mechanically try to disengage from everything they think is fear. I mean, I I think it's the deeper fears that need to be um, out, because then the rest, there's no room for anything else. You know, are you lovable? Are you worthy? Is there more? Is there a highest and best? What is it for me? Right?
Yeah.
And those questions have to be answered within the soul of the individual. And when you listen to the conversation that comes up when you say, uh, there's a highest and best potential for me, you know, what might it be? We might not recognize it because we only know what we know, but we're open to it. So then our life begins to maneuver to get us some education or awareness or understanding, or ignite a fire within us for that passion that belongs to us. We must start living as individuals and not as a collective. Everybody has to follow this path. Everybody has to eat this food. Everybody has to do this routine. Everybody has to do it my way, or they're wrong. You know, what is that? Right? What is
Yeah.
that? But if individual starts going inside, I mean, last week the lesson was about that. Get real. Go, we're not here to be, we're here to evolve and express love and light into our own lives. And then it flows out into the lives around us. We're not here to conform everybody into our insecurities and BS stories we have about what's so important. That validates us staying in the condition that we're in, right? If I look at you and judge you, um, that's a validation for me, right? That I'm better,
Yeah.
right? That's not right, right? Where did we learn that? Where did we learn that?
since school, since the age of school, right? Because you always see,
Parents.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like,
Environment. I mean, we run across people in our life that are enlightened, right? But they're still human, right?
yeah,
But something is different, right? Or we start going, something's different over here. That's the energy. We're like coming home, coming home. And when we come home, we have to decide, if I am divine, I'm not going to live divinely in action, acting it out. I'm going to begin to examine those things within me that cloud the water, the pure living water within my soul, my awareness of being. The fog is what we're wanting to clear, right? So then we begin to be like, if I'm looking through divine eyes, these eyes are love, and these eyes look at you with only love, not judgment. You should look like this or do that, or be the same as me in expression and growth or whatever, right? No, it's I look at you how I want to be looked at, right? And
yeah.
I'm able to do that because I have an awareness and a connection. I am the I am. And that I am begins to express through my being. And then all of the teaching that is contrary to all of the love will begin to float before our eyes so we can make the adjustments. If a person chooses, I'm comfortable. That's too out there for me. I'm comfortable where I am. There's no less love.
Right.
There's no less love for them all the days of their life.
When did you talk about, like, the light that we are and so forth like that. And it's like, you also said that you dabble through many of the religious, doctrines like that. Like, when did for you, like, what was the moment that you like adopted it? Like, knowing that it's like, we were always light and we were always, intertwined with God and the creator. But when did it like really like it became part of you?
Uh, uh, I became, it became very real and part of me when I was about 8 years old. Um, and then I tried chasing it through
Jason, I'm sorry, what?
chasing it through conventional pathways.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, instead of, but the experience um, I had at 8 years old, that if there's anything out there I need to know, was I could feel that today.
Wow.
And then I began, it, God is in religion, so I got to go through religion, and we meet our disappointments, and our inner voice is like, yeah, that doesn't feel good. And then we get judged, and that really doesn't feel good sometimes. And then we're like, yeah, God's not here. And after a while, um, it's like, well, if God's here, I'm not going to be here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then we begin to start to challenge and balance out what's being served and presented and where we stand as an individual. And then I began to, um, I would take, I wanted to understand the Bible. So I read it cover to cover with the concordances, and I would look up every verse and try to see it from the different perspectives. And then, you know, um, I took some courses, and then I've ventured out from there and read different books, and I really got turned on by quantum physics. It really ignited a fire in me. Boom. So I was like, this is the way. And so I followed into that. That makes so much sense to me. We create with our energy, right? And so, and then, it's kind of like a windy river. But then after a while, I was like, all I'm doing, I'm taking in data. massive amounts of data, books, teaching, seminars, whatever. And it's not ringing true, all of it. Like, and then I was like, I have to get it for myself. Like I have to stop getting knowledge and start applying myself to the relationship more in a deeper way. And so then I was like, I got to have a deeper relationship. I need everything out of the way that stands between me and you, if there's me and you. And I didn't know the I am then. I was like, you're there, God, and I'm here, and whatever stands between us has to get out. And I started getting into the poets, Rumi, Goethe, right?
Yeah.
Because they were expressing like me, the desperation, the thirst, the hunger, right? And then I'm like, I'm dancing around. And then I got a teaching, the I am, I am the I am. And it was like, ah, but it took a while for that to connect with me. And I am divine fabric. I am a piece of the divine. Really took a little bit of time and to sink in, and then I began to really become expansive inside and open, and I'm like, I have the connection. I am the I am, instead of I am me and the I am is there, and constantly trying to bridge the gap. And there is no gap. Like it sounds so funny. You're trying to
Yeah.
build a bridge over something that there's no chasm there.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, this is futility, right? And then, it was kind of like, yeah, I spent a lot of time in the Bible, because I thought that's, you know, in the stories, the essence in them is there. But, like Job, he's like, I thought I knew, but now I see. I felt like I had all this intellectual, because a big part of that book is all this intellectual discussion about God and what's happening
Yeah.
in your life, and this and that, what you deserve, what you don't. This happened to him because he deserved it, right? All this
Right.
kind of stuff. And he came down to, you know, my soul rejoices at the sound of your waterfalls. Like, whatever. I know nothing. I'm at a loss. You are. And now I see. I'm not my mind, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm not my mind. I'm my essence, right? It's that same, for me, was that same relief of, I am. I don't have
Right.
to keep avoiding that sense inside of me for fear of offending the very one I'm chasing, right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and all of that for me was religious teaching, and I'm not opposed, people, but we have to always, even in education, even in school, even in anything we're learning, we have to filter through our belief system. That seems right to me. That doesn't seem right to me. We don't just eat, right? We don't just eat everything that's being served at the buffet, right? Because
Right.
there's so much data out there. You could listen. That's why people eat the commercial without they surrender to the concept without a thought, you know, without a thought about it.
Scary.
Yeah.
Well,
On so many levels, it, it's just, a person misses the power and the freedom and the joy and the love for life and the abundance and the joy for life, and the radiating out of themselves into the community, right? As a way of being, not as an act, as a way of being. Having joy and peace. Like it's a reality. That's our divine nature.
So I think two things that you said that really like resonated again about how incredible you are is one, you were turned on by quantum physics because there's not a lot of people out there that think that is like, but also about the relationship. I mean, I mean, I think, from the first moment, that we've talked, it's like, I think that's what resonates as not just as a teacher, but, I mean, you even go back to like beginning of your conversation about like, like why we feel like we have to compare against others or, value ourselves as higher or lesser, depending on someone else's neck, if you will. It's like, that's what's missing. We're given all this knowledge. And it's like, honestly, as two people who are, humbly speaking, like learned, it's like knowledge is very cold. Knowledge in itself is very, cold.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship with the knowledge is what is life-giving, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the relationship that the person teaching has with the knowledge comes through in the words into the next person's life. Right? That's why, looking at the teachers that we've chosen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I mean, just thinking idealistically, like you think about like, something that is trivial of like cutting off a person when you're driving. If you're thinking like, I'm in a relationship with this person, I am driving with this person. Now it's like, you wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like, I got to get there first. It's like, and you like, it expands to like a big circle. It expands to like where we start off. Like you said, like I was chasing the very thing over a bridge that was never there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there isn't a difference.
Yeah, there is no, we are one. And as we live in our oneness, then we become more one. The availability of oneness with fellow humans and our planet is there for us. But we have to be engaged in our life. We're not just here. Like people turn their whole lives upside down to, make a successful business or get a college education or whatever it is that somebody feels is so super important. And when they get there, they're still arrived there the same. Oftentimes, it's like we have to be actively engaged with build the castle here and it'll be built here. But we're wanting to express through our doing because that's what we've decided creates our value and our sense of self and our validation in the world, so to speak. And I love what I do, but this is more important. Like if this in here is stagnated, what I do isn't going to have the life it needs to have. I'm responsible for my evolution. I'm responsible. All the tools, all the supply, all the knowledge, all the help I need is there. I have to be on it, engaged in it, seeking, reaching. I'm not feeling the flow. I want to be in the flow, right? I want to not just be alive here. I want to express the fullest potential of my divine being. And in order to do that, I had to get out of the way in some big ways with teaching through life experience that I had, things that had happened to me that left an impression. Right? Those are the things that, once the light is on inside of it, like once we're connected with the light, because it's always on, but once we're aware of it, then the light shines into the house of our body and we need to clean it. Like we don't need to keep all this stuff, right? It's like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to be hindered or controlled by that emotional experience or pattern or concept of myself I didn't even know was there. But now that the light is in me, I can see it's there. And I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need that. That's not in line with where I'm going.
That type of cleaning seems a lot more beneficial than vacuuming.
But if we're all doing that, then we don't need to worry about all the other stuff.
It's kind of like where you put your energy.
Yeah. But fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of a lack of success, fear of love, fear of um, pain, or fear. People are afraid, they don't even know why. That takes life away. And questioning that, each person, unless you like how you feel when you're frightened,
Yeah.
or you like anxiety, or you like anger, because all of that's fear.
Right.
Fear with a different name. Why is this inside of me? Why am I feeling this expression? Is there truth in a different direction? Active pursuit of our highest and best. And the stuff disappears. My sister, she was like, it's so amazing. She said, when all of a sudden your eyes are open and you can see something that's been part of your world, internal world, for a long time, and you're like, oh, I see that. I don't need that. It's gone like that, and like it was never there. Easy. Not years of therapy. Easy. Like it was never there. Because you're not dealing with the mind, thinking mind. You're dealing with the eternal being, which doesn't wear that anyway. Doesn't wear those clothes.
Yeah.
Right? Our eternal divine being does not wear those clothes.
That's huge. So I think, for myself, anybody, it's like you think about, changing some of these patterns or this thought, it's like, oh my God, I'm 49 or whatever. It's like, oh, it took all these lines. It's like, no, it can go, because that's
it
our
does.
content.
It does. Revelation, that's what revelation is. Revealing the truth.
That's what revelation is.
And when we see, we receive, right? And then we don't need that. The connection is broken. But it's active relationship, delayering.
That's awesome. It is. It's like, and ironically, as soon as you finished, like the sun came through out this way. Like, revelation. Next thing you know, this thing's like moving. Like, oh, okay, that's freaky.
No, but what do you want? Like, that's what I ask you. What do you want? What do you want out of life? What do you want? What can you see as a possibility? Because that's a starting point. And the best thing is, if a person is too hard, there's no less love for them. They'll just see. People always, really old people always say, right?
Yeah.
They spend too much time carrying these bags around.
Yeah.
Right? Then you're like, I could have expanded if I'd have let this stuff go. If I'd have been courageous enough to be authentic.
On my fridge every morning is your quote is, what are you carrying in your knapsack today?
Yeah.
It always reminds me, like, oh, okay. Like,
and is it you? Because so many things we carry around we think are some expression of us, or what we want other people to believe about us. But is the stuff in your bag even yours?
So on a funnier note, like if by some, cosmic chance I get pulled over today, I actually forgot my wallet. So I'm going to tell them that I was talking with my beloved teacher, and she says